Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tech Tab. I'm your host, Ryan Carson, and I am here with my co-host, Bob Duffy, who is joining me. Bob, good to see you. I have a big question for you. It's very important. What's an AI tool or experiment that recently blew your mind? Tell us more.
Yeah, LTX video recently. So we've been working on that in AI Playground. So that's a product I manage. And 097 is just amazing. You see a lot of stuff where people are comparing it to Kling, and it's mind-boggling. So yeah, I'm messing around with that. It's looking really cool. And then just a lot of other stuff, just replacing Google with AI searches and things like that. So
Yep, love it. Well, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me as my co-host. If you are excited about AI and emerging technology, you're in the right place. Today, we've got a jam-packed show. We're going to kick it off with a nerd alert to unpack a cutting-edge AI term. Then we're going to dive into TechBuzz, which has all the latest AI news stories. And finally, we're going to wrap up with a fun AI trivia game that you all can play along. So put on your thinking caps, get ready to win. The next 55 minutes are going to be packed with fresh AI news, technical deep dives, and a live audience game. Really excited to get going. Please jump in the comments and tell us, number one, where you're calling in from. We've already got guests from calling in all the way from Transylvania, Romania. Memo, it's good to have you here. Elam is here as well. Seeing Team Red, who's calling in from their bedroom, which is always great. So everybody, it's good to have you here. Let's get these amazing guests up on stage. I'd like to first welcome Mr. Alex Finn, founder and CEO of CreatorBuddy. It's good to have you today.
Good to be here, Ryan. Excited for this. Been counting down the days.
Good. Count down the minutes. So Alex is the CEO and founder of CreatorBuddy, like I said. And I'm curious. So as an AI founder, what's one surprising way you use AI in your daily life that might shock even advanced AI people?
So I'm not afraid to admit this, but I am deeply addicted to doom scrolling on my phone. Deeply. When you start building on social media, you get addicted. So I found a new use case for AI I've been using. I have an iPad under my screen at all times. It has the ChatGPT app in it. And anytime I'm like in between activities, I have that kind of margin time in between tasks. Instead of doom scrolling, I have a chat set up in my project in ChatGPT that has all my details and docs about my life and what I'm working on. And I set a prompt that said, "You're my doom scroll distractor." And I go in this chat, I say, "I'm about to doom scroll, help me." And then we go back and forth and helps coach me. So I use AI to break my doom scrolling addiction.
That's pretty amazing. That's very self-aware. So
yes,
I'm proud of you. Well done. We've got some more folks joining. Luis Alvarez from Barcelona, Spain. Very jealous. I bet the weather's great. So next up, we've got another amazing guest, Pietro Schirano, who's co-founder of Magic Path. He's also going to play a song for us today on the guitar.
So that's funny. Hey everyone, very nice to be here. Super excited to chat with all of you.
Good to have you here. I'm excited. So as a creative AI founder, I'm curious, what task right now are you fully trusting AI to handle for you, whether it's creative or work? What's something you really hand off and you trust?
Yeah, well, beside the obvious like coding and whatnot, what I think like I use it the most, and it's like AI Excel, it's actually planning and sort of like, so any sort of strategy planning, basically. It's almost like to a point that it's like kind of addicted now where like, and I can really plan without having to go through, like O3 or like Sonnet 3.7. And so like planning and delegation is amazing. And then the other thing I use a lot is actually for like meta prompting. So like I haven't really written a prompt myself in probably like a year. I mean, I started with sort of like the skeleton of the prompt, but then, like AI is just so amazing at like talking in a way that the AI can understand better than I do. And so that's sort of like the things that I use it a lot for.
Yeah, gosh, I'm with you. I'm starting to feel like maybe I can't think without using AI. I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, it's bad. It's definitely bad. Yeah.
But I feel like, okay, so Alex, are you the same and Bob the same, or is it just us two?
No, I'm like, it's my crutch. I'm completely dependent on it. But at the same time, I'm way smarter and getting more way done. So I'm fine being an idiot with AI.
Ditto.
I love it. We got some more guests calling in from all over the world. Marcelo is calling in from Montevideo, Uruguay. So fun to see that. Please hop in the comments. Tell us where you're calling in from. But also another question I'm curious about for all of you listening is, how do you use AI in your life right now? Is it mostly for fun? or mostly for work, or kind of a mix? So hop in the comments and let us know. I think all of us are using AI all the time for everything. So we're going to dig into that. So fabulous. Well, thanks for being with us, Pietro and Alex. Good to be here with you. We're going to start off with NerdAlert, which is our section where we teach a little something. So let's get to it. All right. So NerdAlert, this is our quick segment where we teach you an important technical AI term. So today, our NerdAlert term is Graph Rag. So hop in the comments. If you know what Graph Rag is, pop in the comments and tell us how much you know. It's also known as Knowledge Graph Retrieval-Augmented Generation. It's a mouthful, but it's really cool. So I wanted to share with you how it works. So it's the idea of giving a generative AI a structured factual brain to draw on, like hooking up a smart chatbot to a knowledge graph so it can fetch verified facts and relationships instead of guessing. So in other words, GraphRag combines a knowledge graph with an AI language model to improve its answers. So a little bit more about that. So first of all, structured memory. A knowledge graph is like a giant fact network. Think of it as a curated web of who, what, where, and how that's all related to each other. So if you plug the AI into GraphRag, it gives the model a structured memory or a cheat sheet of true facts. It can retrieve exact info via the graph and then generate its responses on that. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. It really helps reduce hallucination. So we've all seen AI hallucinate. It's super important that it doesn't do that when we're building products around it. So the way it does that is it uses a vetted knowledge base. It's pretty much like using an open book exam. For instance, like a medical AI could use clinical knowledge and a graph of clinical knowledge to ensure that what it's saying about drug facts is correct. So we all probably know about RAG, but what we're really doing is adding a knowledge graph on top of that, which gives it this structured info. You can think of it as databases, ontologies, Wikipedia-like webs. So I'm really excited about GraphRag and kind of where it's going. So question for the audience is, number one, would hooking up an AI to a live knowledge graph make you trust its answers more or less? Give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. And I want to ask our guests a little bit about RAG, GraphRag, what they're doing. So Alex, I know that CreatorBuddy is all about personalized content for creators from their own data. How do you think about RAG and GraphRag and all of that kind of technology to give CreatorBuddy the right info?
Yeah, so we have a really unique moat with CreatorBuddy, which is we have a collection of millions and millions of different tweets, as well as the engagement and the metrics and the numbers around those tweets in our database, because we use the X API and we're syncing the posts with a lot of different accounts every single day. And so we're looking at different ways to leverage basically that data moat in CreatorBuddy, which is, as a user's typing out a tweet in the application, can we find other relevant tweets and say, hey, here's other relevant tweets that performed well. Why don't you implement this hook, or you implement, this closing line, or this type of word structure? And so these new RAG techniques can make it really easy and interesting for us to implement these never before used use cases where people are creating content and they can basically simultaneously, as they're typing or creating content, see other similar content, how it performs, so they can integrate those techniques in. So a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've not used X's API yet. I've always wanted to kind of dig in and sort of give it a try. But it is exciting. There is this, real-time, hardcore, stream of information coming out of X. So, all right. So what about over at Magic Path? Pietro, are you doing anything with RAG or GraphRag? Tell us more.
Yeah. So first of all, like, I love an ATRAG because I worked for Anthropic for like 10 months and I implement all sort of like RAG technology around customer support and more like searches and so that. So it's like it's a really interesting technology, but like it can get so complex so fast. And for particularly for Magic Path, actually, we're doing something really exciting that I haven't seen done before. We're actually doing RAG over more of like a visual knowledge,
cool.
because we are basically building the best design assistant on the market. Like the models now are really good at design instead of just like making code. But to be a good designer, you have to have a lot of inspiration, right? And so it's like, how do you create that inspiration without relying on system prompts? And and there's like, there's like a lot of interesting thing we're doing. So I'm excited. And we use RAG in a very creative way, I would say. And then on another note, when R1 came to the market, like the reasoning model from DeepSeek, they had the ability to actually redirecting just the thinking from the model instead of the actual token streaming. And what I did, I created this thing called RAT, which is basically retrieval-augmented thinking, where you can connect any model that it's like no thinking model, and then getting the thinking from the smarter model, and then basically create this sort of like RAG behavior by overthinking instead of knowledge, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, RAG is super powerful. Yeah,
it's fascinating. So I'm building on the side, and I was initially using vector databases and embeddings to do RAG, and I've actually switched to categorization, where it's like, all right, the user is asking about this topic category. I'm going to serve them some documents that I know are relevant, unembedded, just pure markdown. And I'm noticing the models are just so good and fast now and cheap that, so I don't know if vector embedding is going to like sort of go by the wayside now that we've got these huge context windows and fast models. Like, Pietro, what do you think?
Well, it's funny actually, when Llama announced the 10 million tokens context model, I think I tweeted and I was like, RAG is dead. And it were like so viral because it was just like such a divisive tweet, but I didn't mean it to do it like that. But then Llama 4 actually ended up to be not as great. And so, but yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the better the model are retrieving information, the better they retain knowledge and memory, and the larger is the context, the less I see the user for like vector database. But what you were mentioning before, Graph RAG, I think it's even more interesting because it's like, it's not necessarily like a database. It's more like, what's the relationship between the parts? So that is still kind of tough to get for free. So, but yeah.
I'm excited to see how it plays out. So we've got a couple of people in the audience giving us a thumbs up that they would like to hook their AI up to a Graph RAG. Memo saying yes, Team Red saying yes. Appreciate that. Everybody chiming in. Hop on those comments. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. So that's our nerd alert. Thought it'd be fun to talk about Graph RAG a little bit. It's sort of RAG, but with extra vitamins. So we'll see how it goes. But we're gonna keep going to our next segment, which is TechBuzz. So let's roll to TechBuzz. All right, so we decided to do this show on the same day that Microsoft Build is happening and Google I/O is happening. So there's a lot happening on top of what we're going to talk about, but we have a lot of good stories to talk about today. And the first TechBuzz story is that OpenAI launched Codex, which is a ChatGPT AI coding agent. And this is taking the development world by storm. So I was literally on X last night, tweeting about it, and Alex was replying, and everyone is really, really excited about this. So let me explain a little bit. What is it for you that are listening? And then we're going to chat about it. So it rolled out Codex, which is an AI coding agent that can handle multiple software tasks simultaneously. It's powered by a new model called Codex 1, which is optimized for coding. It can write simple features, fix bugs, answer questions about your code base. It can even run tests on its own code. Essentially, you give it a to-do list. For example, quote, add a dark mode theme to my app, and it will work through it asynchronously in the cloud, but basically while you sleep. So like last night, I gave Codex, I think it was like 5 things to do. I woke up and I merged them into the repo. It's just kind of mind-blowing. So the new model supposedly writes cleaner code. So OpenAI really focused on this, that Codex 1 writes very readable code. It does minimal changes. I know that we're all sort of nervous that Sonnet 3.7 is going to start, wiping out our entire code base. They really think that Codex 1 does not do that. OpenAI is giving users generous access to Codex at launch. It's probably going to add rate limits and paid tiers soon. They've really sandboxed it pretty heavily. So it essentially spins up a VM in the cloud that doesn't have internet access. So they're really sandboxed pretty tightly. And it's really exciting. So before I go to our guests, I want to ask the audience a couple questions. If you're in the audience and you're coding with AI, would you let an AI agent, start coding autonomously for you? Would love to hear you what you think. Just give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or pipe up in the comments. So, Alex, I know you and I were just talking about this, so I'm going to let you have the first crack. What do you think about Codex, and what does this mean?
I think conceptually it's revolutionary, to be honest. I haven't really been impressed with any AI agents up to this point, to be quite honest with you. The reason being is, in my opinion, what defines an AI agent the most is how independent it can work. And right now, most AI agents have been just kind of AI chatbots, but just think a little bit longer than average, right?
Yeah.
And so Codex is the first one I've used where it really feels like it's taking action independently. Which is amazing. And so like I have my app CreatorBuddy, which I've been building out. I'm one person business. I've done all the coding, marketing, everything. And so, I do the same thing. Like before I go to bed, I think about, okay, what did I want to get done today that I couldn't?
Yeah.
And so I give Codex, you can give it a list of tasks, which I think is going to be big for AI agents in the future. Like being able to give it a list of things to do and it just goes and does them. And so far from an execution perspective, it's been good. Hasn't been spectacular. It's been good. I do have to go back and spend a good amount of time kind of correcting code and finding merge errors. And it seems like it doesn't have context between different tasks it's working on simultaneously. So it do things that maybe conflict with other tasks it's doing. But the bones are there for something really special that I can see making it very easy for me as a one-person business to really pump out new features for my app. And so I see it just improving from here. I think the concept is going to be copied across the board for a million different use cases. How can I give an AI agent a list of tasks to then go and build me a week's worth of content, right? I see that coming very soon too.
Yeah.
So conceptually, I think it's revolutionary. Execution-wise, not perfect just yet. I'm not giving it tasks and walking away, but I think it gets there.
Did you call Sam Altman, tell him like you like it, but you're a little disappointed at your AI engineer? So
I sent a very strongly worded email to Sam. Hey, you got to do better than this next time. Got to do better.
I'm sure he's gonna hustle hard on that. Pietro, I'm gonna go to you in just a second. I want to call out some of our audience members who are piping up. So Memo says that he is not ready yet to let an AI agent loose on his code. He said, main reason is I'm not a native English speaker, which means my requests are quite unlikely to be fit for purpose in first go. I don't know. I think my requests aren't that great either. So we'll see. Pietro, I know you spent a huge amount of time engineering. What do you think Codex means? Do you use it? Tell us everything.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Alex was saying, I think the concept is truly revolutionary. I think I totally agree. I think there's a lot of magic that happens when you're walking around, when you're in a coffee shop, have your computer next to you. And so that's kind of the stuff that I've been doing a lot. I have an idea for my product and I can't really do it in the moment, but that, the ability to just delegate into this agent when I'm just doing something else, I think that's truly an unlock for the technological field overall. And I was lucky enough that I actually got access to Codex 2 weeks ahead to be in the beta testing. So my experience initially wasn't that great, but also I think because there's just a lot of stuff to fix on the product level. And so once they approach launch, I actually started getting really, really good. But what I would say is I personally wouldn't use it for front end tasks. Unless they're really bugs, they're just stuff they don't require you to see what is actually implemented. Yeah. But for backend and for anything that it's been a bug that I know was there for a while, or refactoring, or I have to update this package because I was lazy, I didn't do it 6 months ago, and now my app is crashing. It's great for this stuff. I actually think it's almost they create the perfect engineer for the boring stuff. Yeah. This entity, if you want to do a boring task, give it to it because it's going to be good at. And then back to what you were saying, it's the model is actually fine-tuned on shell command. And so actually that's why it's running all the shell. And to me, it's also interesting because I was I wonder why the models are just better at running shell command instead of just doing, writing an entire file and replicate it, which is what everybody's been trying to do with this coding agent, right? You have the applying patch and editing, but the model is really just like, it's just using the shell, right?
I know.
And
it's fun to watch the log. And you're like, wow, that's some hardcore command line interface.
So cool. It's so cool. And so that's why when I tweeted about it, I was using it. I was like, when it works, it's great. It's magic. Because I couldn't, for the sake of my own honesty, I couldn't be like, this is the best thing in the world. And also I think like an interesting thing too, it's like the coding agent ability itself, on SV that bench, it's only like 5%, higher than like O3 or 3.5 so on. So it's like, it wasn't even like a big step in terms of like performance, but the experience, I think, is really solid. And it's kind of what Alex was saying.
Yeah, the experience is, to me, what's mind-blowing, right? So it took what used to be a very hands-on keyboard, lean forward experience, right? Like in Cursor, I'm really pair programming, right? Whereas it was wild to pick up my phone and be like, oh yeah, there's this like task. It's on my to-do list. It's a bug. It's back end. I'm just gonna fire off a task and like it might fix it. And actually, there's 4 others I want to knock out. And I was like lying on the ground, stroking my dog, and I'm like, telling the AI what to do, and it was like, wow, this is gonna change everything. And I'm excited to see where that goes. So, Bob, I know you're a big Grok user. Do you see this kind of delegate, and then come back, practice happening with things like Grok and other AI?
Yeah, I mean, I use a lot of these tools for learning, so I could definitely see this for exploration, especially on a lot of the things like we already said, some of the boring stuff, right? Could you, set a number of tasks and see how far it gets on those tasks? I can't imagine a production environment where I'm doing this and it being fully connected to everything, access to PyPy and NumPy and all that kind of stuff, and going and installing packages and all that kind of stuff. But I do see that this might be great for exploration. If there was a set of features and things that I want to experiment, could I tackle them a different way? Then yeah, I could see doing that, assigning those tasks and seeing what was learned through that process.
Yeah,
sure.
It's fun to sort of realize which tasks you would truly hand off and say, hey, if this goes well, great. If it doesn't go well, then that's fun too.
And that accelerates your learning, right? For sure.
Yeah. Pietro, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I also think like in a funny way, this is the biggest pro for actual engineers. Like we keep thinking about this future where, AI is actually going to replace engineers. But what this does really well, it's like, if like if you're good at planning, if you're good at like sort of architecture of your code base, this is like the best thing ever for you, right? Which is interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's $200 a month, so, transparently, I was on the Pro plan for a while because I basically wanted O1 Pro. I wanted to do some really deep, heavy research, create some really good PRDs. And then I was like, well, now Gemini 2.5 Pro is getting good enough. Like, I don't know if I need it. Downgraded. And then last night I was like, forget it. I can't. I need Codex.
You need to be paying for the top tier of every single model if you're serious about it. And that's not even a joke. Like every company is like, I've never seen anything like it before in any industry. There's like every other week, another company jumps ahead, then the next company jumps. Like and what's on the line here too is like being the leader in whatever industry you're currently in. Like CreatorBuddy has an edge because I have ChatGPT Pro and I'm paying $200 a month to have Codex build things out. And then it also has an edge because I'm paying for the premium version Gemini and I can get the best coding model building things for me. And it also has an edge because I'm paying for the ultra version of Windsurf so I can have nonstop prompts going in. All like people, oh man, $200 a month for ChatGPT Pro. But okay, but now you've just built a moat for yourself for $200 where you're getting way more productivity and you're way smarter. Like anyone would pay $200 for that. Like, it's a no brainer. You have to be paying for each one, top tier.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, maybe I'm just laughing because I've had the good fortune of having employees and thinking about, how hard it is to get humans to do things. Right. And then how, like, wow, for $200, I can have this AI engineer run off and do a bunch of stuff while I'm sleeping. I don't know if that's good or bad, but Bob, you are sort of on the opposite side, I would say, to Alex, of like, hey, I actually want to pay for less. So
Yeah. I want to pay zero. I want to try to push as far as I can to use as many free tools as possible. How far can I get with that? Yeah, but I definitely understand what Alex is. I mean, he's like the prototype of exactly what should be going on, right? He's one guy and he's wearing so many hats and doing so many things. I mean, I think that's a new model of new companies coming out today, right? Just a guy just able to do so much, or a gal, or whoever, right? So yeah, no, I've just got to have this philosophy. I want free open models and free tools, and try to push it as far as I can. So
give me
Well,
everything.
here's how the
I like the struggle.
calculations work for me, right? So I don't spend anything on marketing. All my marketing is I build stuff and then tweet about it, and then people read the tweet and go, "Oh, that's cool. Let me buy that," right? And so every time I build a new feature, then tweet about it, I get roughly 15 new signups in the first 2 hours for CreatorBuddy, which comes out to, I think that's like $800. And so I pay $200 for Codex. It gets me to pay for itself. It needs to get one feature out a month, right? That I can tweet about. And then it pays for itself 4 times over. And so the ROI and the efficiencies that get unlocked by using the latest features that work the hardest, the smartest, and the fastest, for me, it's like the most no-brainer ROI investment of all time. So you just got to do that math for yourself. Like if you're not building anything, figure out what the ROI is. If you're building something, what can these extra efficiency points get me?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So, Pietro, are you a single person founder, or do you have a team?
We started 2, and actually I just hired two more people this week. So
hey,
that's
congrats.
my first 2 new hires. Yeah.
You're
we were 2 for
doubling the size.
Yeah, we're basically 2 for like a year and a half, and we built EverArt, scaled that to $1 million ARR actually for the past 2 months. And now I'm launching this new product. I was going to launch this week, but we'll see, because there's a lot of news, so I want to make sure like the news cycle it kind of comes down a little bit. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, all right, we're going to keep rolling to our second story. I knew we'd get a lot of discussion about Codex. It's really, really exciting. But let's keep moving to our next news story. We've got Windows 11 gets a voice assistant, which is, hey, Copilot. So this is Clippy's descendant. Is the way I like to think about this. Microsoft is testing a new voice activation feature for Windows 11 AI assistant. Soon you'll be able to say, hey, Copilot, to summon the Windows Copilot AI sidebar. No keyboard or mouse needed. Currently, Copilot is triggered by a click or a shortcut, but with this update, Windows insiders or beta testers can opt into a hands-free mode. Once it's enabled, a little microphone icon floats on your screen and listens for the phrase. When it hears, hey, Copilot, you get a chime, and it does its thing. So it's really kind of turning into what we think of as Hey Siri or Hey Alexa, but on your computer. I think we've got some danger happening around one of our guests. Hopefully they're okay. So it's kind of a full circle moment for Microsoft, which had a Cortana. So pop in the comments and tell us if you remember Cortana. Obviously, previous voice assistant, which was Clippy. So kind of fascinating to see where this goes. I'm excited always for more AI for everywhere, so more people can be empowered. But I'm curious to hear the guest take on this. So first of all, audience, are you excited to talk to your PC? Hop in the chat. Let us know what you think about that. And then, Bob, I'm curious. Do you think voice-activated Copilot is going to, fit into your workflow? And how does this fit into the
No, not at all. I'm sorry to say that. My keyboard's right here. I just have this thing when it comes to compute. I craft my sentences towards a computer. I just don't talk naturally to a computer. I have no voice-assisted solutions, whatever. I even with Alexa don't really like to talk that much. But yeah, so I know I'm perfectly fine with my keyboard right there. I don't need a voice assisted. But I do like Clippy though. Bring Clippy back. That's a good one. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's happening. So we'll see. Pietro, what do you think about Hey Copilot? Yes, no, maybe so.
Well, so like I always thought I was gonna use. There's like a bunch of Mac apps you can install. You can just like talk to, and then it just streams your text into inputs and whatever. Yeah. I'm just not. I don't know. For some reason, I just don't use. I never end up to use this type of apps. I have a lot of friends that love that, but I do like sort of like the asynchronous experience where I chat to ChatGPT when I'm on a walk. So it's almost like it depends where I'm at, right? I won't talk to my computer if I'm doing serious walk. But if I'm like, on a walk and I want to kind of like brainstorming something, that I'll do it. So it's kind of depending on the case.
Yeah, that makes sense. Calling out some folks in the audience. Team Red Studio says, I don't need to talk out loud. Typing isn't slower than talking for me anyway. So like it. Alex, how about you? How much do you use voice AI? You know, do you think you're going to say, hey, Copilot anytime soon?
So I use voice AI a lot, actually, and I'm not going to use this at all. So I use voice AI for more passive use cases, and for active use cases where I'm on my phone or I'm at my computer, I don't use it at all. I've never used Siri. I've never used any voice. Like, people have videos on, here's how to like talk to your cursor and build your apps with your voice. Like, I have no interest in that. Like, I just want to say, make the button blue, enter. Like, I don't need to be, hey there, cursor, please make my button blue. Like, that doesn't, but I do have this, which is a limitless.
Interesting.
And I use this for passive activities. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm, yeah, so this is an AI microphone called Limitless. I think it's like $99. And basically, it's 24 hours of battery. It's a pendant. It's a clip. I put it on this string so you can wear it like a necklace. And it just records everything. Everything around you, it records and takes the transcripts and puts it in the logs. And then you can then go and chat with your logs. Right. So I can go back at the end of the day and I can say, hey, what are content ideas I came up with? What are to-do list items I should do for the next day? And so if I'm out for a walk, if I don't want to bring my phone, because my phone, I find clouds my brain because I'm addicted to doom scrolling, I'll just be walking and I'll say, oh, I just got an idea for a YouTube video. Here's what I just say it out loud. Right. And at the end of the day, I can go back and I can go talk to my Limitless and say, what are content ideas I had for that day? And so I really like voice for like this type of passive living my life use cases, but for like engaged programming, I've never used Siri. I've never used Copilot, Talk, or whatever, and I have no plans to use it in the future.
So you could go back and say, why was Bob so against using voice AI?
Exactly. So it's recording this entire conversation, right? And so I can go back and be like, what were the important points in that conversation?
You know, it's interesting though, because I have a pair of Meta Ray-Bans. And, you know, most people don't know they have a camera in them, but the people that do, wow, they act weird. And so, you know, we have to get through this somehow. Like, oh, people are going to be wearing AI all the time. Like, whoa, what does it mean? And I always have to tell people, don't worry, I'm not filming you. Like, it's okay. But are you having those experiences with your Limitless at all, or nobody knows what it is?
No. And this might sound really, really screwed up and get me canceled, but I mean, I wear it like under my shirt. Right. Just so no one knows. And I mean, I'm not like having super secretive conversations. And if someone was about to say something crazy, I would say, hey, by the way, this is being recorded. But, you know, I just think we're entering a day and age where technology is pretty much going to eliminate private. And this is a whole different discussion, but I'm not going to get a Neuralink because I think the last bastion of privacy that we'll ever have for the rest of our lives is in our head.
Yeah. I want to be a robot. Let's go.
But you get it, then your privacy is gone forever.
Yeah. I actually do want a Neuralink whenever it becomes safe. And because I feel like you know, we're great at inputs, but we suck at outputs. You know, like we wouldn't even have this question around should we use AI for voice or typing, because we would just like stream our thoughts directly. So I'm actually excited for the future. But
then there's no privacy. Everything's being recorded. Once it's in your head, you know people are gonna hack, and privacy is done once it's in your head.
Yeah, you're gonna start having ads in real time.
Yeah,
it's like,
we'll see. And I don't want to go too Black Mirror here because I'm a technological podcast. But actually, this relates to our next story. So we're gonna keep moving to our next story, which is all about remembering your whole life. So before I read that story, though, hop in the comments. Let us know your opinions about, you know, speaking to your AI's privacy. Do you feel comfortable with it? Do you use it? I would love to hear your thoughts in the audience. So the next story is all about Sam Altman sharing his vision that ChatGPT should, quote, remember your whole life. All right. So OpenAI CEO Sam Altman stirred debate by suggesting that in the future, ChatGPT could, quote, remember your whole life. Alex is freaking out right now. He imagines an AI that serves as an ever-present coach or assistant that you consult daily, essentially an AI that builds a long-term memory of everything you've ever told it. It could remind you about your car's oil changes, plan your travel for you for an upcoming wedding, or pre-order a book sequel you love, all by knowing your preferences and history in detail. Is this exciting or creepy? We're going to talk about that in a second. I think the vision is both. It's exciting and a little disturbing. On the upside, a lifelong AI could proactively take care of mundane tasks and truly personalize every interaction. But how much are we really ready for this? There's big questions about privacy and control, which we were just talking about, which we're going to dive into. You need an assurance of some sort that there is these air gaps between your memories, and advertisers and the outside world. I want to hear everything about what our guessing about this. I'll say quickly, since I turned on memory for ChatGPT, I have found it much more delightful. It just knows what I'm talking about, right? And in really nice ways, like I'm not having to explain everything over and over again. At the moment, it feels delightful. I also share my account with my kids, so I think I love Magic the Gathering a lot. so I'm curious. Let's go first to Pietro. What do you think about ChatGPT, its memory, and this relation to all the other AI assistants?
Yeah, no, first of all, I'll tell you, I love this, and I give you a very tangible example. So I recently raised my seed, right? And it was like my first time raising for basically ever. And I was fortunate enough to actually close my seed. And in the weeks coming, thank you.
This is venture capital for everybody that's new to all this kind of stuff. So
congrats. Yeah, sorry, venture capitalist. Yeah, and so in the weeks like before that, one of my favorite things was actually I would go on those long walks, and I asked ChatGPT to act like an amazing investor with like really tough question, and I would basically recite my pitch on a walk like if I was talking to a real person. And I remember like every time I would sort of like restart that conversation, right? And I would have loved, if they had memory of the conversation that we had, the details that I was coming from, multiple meetings that I would get. So like for things that are actually helpful, I think this is like an amazing feature. And actually, it's funny. So they recently had the memory feature, I think like a couple of weeks ago. And so I have this website, which is my personal website. And if you go on it, you can actually interact with an AI that knows everything about me. So you instead of saying like, here's what Pietro. It's cool, right? And I need to update the system prompt. And I was like, let me just do a new search on myself so I can put these details into the system prompt. And so ChatGPT does this search, and it's like, yeah, Pietro Schirano is co-founder and CEO of Magic Puff. And I was like, wait, I haven't announced the name Magic Puff. I haven't spoke publicly. Like, how does it know? And I forgot that it actually now it memorized all this conversation that we had when I was raising money. And so that to me was like a magical experience. I was like, wow, like I wish you knew this when we were going on those long walks and just pretending that you were an investor, and would have been super helpful. I do believe though it kind of begs a question around. There's one of my favorite book of all time is called The Paper Menagerie, and it's this like sci-fi collection of like short stories. And in one of the stories,
it's called The Paper Menagerie.
The Paper Menagerie. Yeah, it's an incredible book. I really recommend. If you like sci-fi and technology, there isn't a better book than that. And in one of the short stories, the protagonist actually has a tool very similar to what Alex has. Like, and there's this amazing quote that says, we make tools to help us thinking, but now the tool think for ourselves, which is kind of like the future that we get into it. And I feel like with this kind of stuff that will know a lot about your life and help you with decision, helping who investor you want to go to, maybe helping your relationships. I think things are gonna maybe start to get a little tricky, but I'm positive. I love it as a feature.
Oh, cool. All right. I appreciate the feedback. I'm going to go to other guests in a second. I want to read out some of our audience members who are chiming in. Team Red Studio says, I would love AI to be able to read all my chats, files, and photos ever so I can search through my entire history, but only if it's done locally on my computer. I'm not going to send my stuff online, which is fascinating. Bob, I know that you deal a lot with local compute, local inference, not doing stuff in the cloud. What do you think about where's memory going with AI and how it relates to local versus cloud? And what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea that you can dial that up as you need to or you want, but I also like the idea that you can partition, right? So like in AI Playground, we have topics manager, and I'd love to be able to turn that on versus off so that I can have certain topics where I have conversations and those are contained within the discussions that I'm having, and the other conversations don't necessarily pollute that conversation. So I want to partition it. So I love the idea, more memory. Yes, obviously let's add more, but if we have dials, knobs, and switches switches where we can dial it up, down, and partition, then yeah, especially locally. Yeah.
Yeah, partition is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because in real life, we have this choice of like, I'm going to talk to this person about this subject. I'm going to talk to this person. I don't want them knowing the same things, or it's confusing for them to have too much context. That'll be interesting to see how that develops. So Alex, clearly whoever gets your memory long term is going to win, right? The product battle here. Like, where do you think this is playing out? Are we going to end up really relying on one AI with all of our memories? Is it going to be transportable? Like, where is this going?
I think it could be transportable. I mean, for instance, again, I bring it back to this. I actually bought this so that I could have a lifelong AI memory, right? I want to be able 40 years from now to go back and say, what happened on May 20th, 2025? What was the story of that day? What did I do? Play the transcripts from that day. Like, imagine like if you just had everything recorded every day since you were a kid, and being able to go back and in third grade, see what you did at third grade. Who did you talk to on the playground? Who were your friends? What were you interested in? When you were playing Halo 2 online, what kind of crap did you talk to people, right? Like, that is amazing to me, right? And so I think, for me, this is transportable. This is recording everything. And so we're going to have context windows so large, I think, in the near future, where I can take all the transcripts that this is recorded and put it into any AI I want. And so I'm all in on it. I'm not as concerned with privacy when it comes to this, because I think privacy is toast. Everything's an AI now listening to you at all times. There's microphones and everything. Yeah. I got the Apple speakers over here. I got my laptop over here as a microphone. My camera has them. Everything's being recorded and sent to an AI. So I think it's the future. I'm pumped.
Wow. It'll be interesting how it shakes out. I think it's happening, whether we want it to or not. I personally am excited about it. I'd rather have a super smart being listening to me all the time to help me. So we'll see. But I know that not everyone feels that way. So speaking of that, we're actually going to skip ahead one news story. I want to call out, we've got an amazing production team behind the scenes making this all happen. So I appreciate the team doing this. I'm going to move to the OpenAI story about GPT 4.1. So let's roll to this news story. OpenAI rolls out GPT 4.1 now with a 1 million token context window, right? So this fits into what we're talking about around context and memory. Paying users, which is Pro Plus and team accounts, can now switch to GPT 4.1, the chatbot. This model and its slimmed down sibling, GPT 4.1 Mini, brings some serious upgrades, most notably 1 million token context window. So for everybody listening, a token is almost a word. It's about 800,000 words. So this jumps from a huge amount. From, it used to be 128,000, now it's 1 million. Couple things that you could do with 1 million tokens. You can basically load in entire repos of code, huge amounts of books, tons of audio transcript files. I mean, everything Alex is talking about with Limitless. It's pretty interesting to see where all the context windows are going. Lastly, I do a lot of code in Cursor primarily. I'm using mostly Gemini 2.5 Pro because of its 1 million token context window, because it's just so much better. So it's kind of interesting to see where this goes. So if you're listening to the audience, want to check in with you, what would you do with 1 million token context window? What kind of things would you unlock? What kind of tasks would you give an AI? Alex, I'm going to go to you. So you're building, with models all day, every day. How important is 1 million token context window to you? Does it determine what model you use, or does it not?
It's certainly a factor. I think the biggest factor for me is just intelligence. And so far for me, ChatGPT 3 is, based on my use case, what I've done has been the most intelligent of all the models. So I use that even though it doesn't have the largest context window. But I think context window is going to be huge. I use ChatGPT 3 primarily as kind of a product manager for my company / CEO. And anytime I'm thinking about new ideas or new features, or I'm about to implement something, I go, hey, product manager, this is the feature I'm thinking about. What's important here? What's my audience going to like? And I have in the project a document that has like my last 1,000 tweets with all the engagement, so they can see what my audience likes of what I put out. And they're like, okay, your audience really likes this type of content you put out, which means they're probably interested in this. So you should change this feature a little bit to be like this. So moral of the story being is the larger the context window, the more information I can put out about my audience, the more content I have I can put in as context, and the better information the AI can have to give me recommendations around features and apps I build. And so really critical for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pietro, how much is large context factor for you, and which model you choose? Which is your favorite model right now?
Yeah, so for me, it's interesting. I think I divide model in two categories. It's the model that you use for personal use and the model that you actually employ to work on something. And 4.1 has been my favorite model release from OpenAI probably since the original GPT-4.
Really?
Yes, I think if you're building a business, that is the model that I recommend to people. And so for context, I actually tweeted, I was like, I can't believe this is not in ChatGPT when I started using it heavily. And the official OpenAI account retweeted me when they announced the news. They were like, actually, now you can finally use this model in ChatGPT. There's a few things that it does really well. One is like incredible instruction following. And I think that's also has to do with the large context. But then what's crazy is like is able to search and find strings really precisely in large amount of content. So for example, at MagicPad, we have this entire crazy pipeline, and like it's a multi-agent, all this is very complicated. And 80% of this pipeline is GPT-4.1 because it's so good at editing stuff, right? And I just can't change it. It's like it's been the best. And so I really like this model. Yeah.
Okay. And then have you started using it since they added more context? And have you noticed a difference or not?
Well, it was that when they released it, it always had the 1 million context. That was how they released it. Yeah. And so I started using it heavily, and I was like, why nobody's talking about this model? This model is amazing. In fact, I hope they probably, whatever model they're going to open source, I hope they open source the smaller version, like mini or nano, whatever the one they decide to, because it's a really good model, and I don't think enough people know about it.
It's interesting. So, so my go-to model right now is Gemini 2.5 Pro. I love it. It just seems to perform consistently. It's got enough, thinking. It's got a huge context. It's almost feels free compared to everything else. But now I'm starting to rely on O3 more, and now I'm going to dig into 4.1 because I've kind of ignored 4.1. So I'm kind of curious. So I think we have some breaking news. One of us before the show said that Google was releasing a new model. Pietro, was you that mentioned that?
I mentioned the model one. Yeah, I think it's called DeepThink.
DeepThink. And we think it's 2.5, but I think like a deeper thinking version of it.
Exactly. It's just 2.5 with larger thinking context. But apparently I was looking at the benchmark. It beats everything. Like it almost saturated the math benchmark. It saturated the coding benchmarks. But I think to me, those are the kind of, so I think this is very interesting, right? Because back to your point, you like Gemini a lot, right? It's a good model, but if I have to put it in my app and it takes 1.20 minutes to think just for a small task,
right?
That just doesn't become a consumer experience, basically.
No.
Right. And so I think I hope the wave is gonna move to a direction where yes, thinking models are great, but let's go back to smaller, more curated model that can perform really fast, can do things really well. Because I don't need to, 2 minutes of thinking if I ask you to change a small thing across the app, right? And so those are the stuff that this model probably thinks a lot. If I have to get
a long time.
Yeah.
It's deep thoughts.
It's deep thoughts. Yeah.
I love it. So we've got a couple comments coming from the audience. Team Red Studio said, with 1 million tokens, you can make the LLM pretend to be a person and have a super long conversation without it forgetting things, which is interesting. I'm finding less and less does it feel like a model's forgetting things I told it. I can feel that we were on the edges as early adopters, and those edges are starting to be rounded. And we're having to make up less, for the model shortcomings. So I can't imagine where things are going to be in 12 months. So before we go to our audience game, Alex, one quick question for you. So CreatorBuddy, you must do some sort of, model routing or model choosing, or, you have people asking things, how are you generally choosing which model to use, or is it always just Grok? Walk us through a little bit how you choose models in your product.
So I do a lot of testing with each model for each specific use case. So there's 11 AI tools in CreatorBuddy. For those who don't know, CreatorBuddy is a tool built around Twitter and syncing your content and giving you analytics around what works and what doesn't with your Twitter content. And so there's a lot of different use cases for AI inside the app. So there's use cases around researching accounts and seeing what engagement styles an account uses. And there's use cases around coaching on your content. So figuring out, what's working and what isn't with your content. And so with each use case, I test every different model and see what gives the best output. And for most of the use cases, actually, Claude 3.5 is the best. Not Claude 3.7, Claude 3.5.
Huh.
Yeah, I find that just based on all my tests, 3.5 gives just the most human feeling output, right? It's really important when talking with like a content coach who tells you, oh, this content's working really well or this content isn't, that it feels human, that you're talking to a human. I find when you're talking to it and it feels like you're talking to a robot, you feel less engaged.
Okay.
And so I found 3.5 more than any other model, including 3.7, is just felt the most human. It gives the most human output when it comes to repurposing content, gives the most human output when it comes to talking to the coach. And so I use 3.5 for most of the application, but I'm constantly testing all the models.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think Anthropic really has nailed the enjoyment of chatting with the LM. It's fascinating. So, all right. So we are going to go to our audience game, y'all. This is our chance to hang out, show how smart we are. So let's hit it and go to the audience game. Hey, all right. So you all probably remember Kahoot, our tried and true quiz game. So everybody head to kahoot.it and pop in the game pin 342594. I'm going to wait for my guests to hop in. And then everybody in the audience, please join us as well. And we'll test how smart everybody is. Pietro's here. Acoustic Biker has already joined. Just good old Alex Finn. I like it. I thought I'd at least see sort of CreatorBuddy. Bobby D's back. And we'll get started in just a second. So this is only 5 questions. So it's nice, short, and sweet. And we're going to battle out. Trish just joined. And there's a special prize for the winner, which is we will cheer really loud for you at the end. So that's it. All right, we're going to get started, everybody. Let's hit it. Get your brains ready. There's points for being the fastest. So get ready to go. 3, 2, 1. It's quiz time, everybody. What does GPT stand for, like OpenAI's ChatGPT? Is it generative pre-trained transformer? Is it general purpose transformer? Or is it guided prompt text? Lock in your answers, please. Fun fact, a transformer is a deep learning architecture that was developed by researchers at Google and is based on a multi-headed attention mechanism. It was proposed in a 2017 paper, Attention is All You Need. 5 of you got that correct. 2 didn't. That's okay. There's still time. So let's see what's happening. Let's see who's winning so far. Pietro crushing it. Not only got the answer right, but got it fastest. Next up is Alex, Zach, Bobby. You're not even on the scoreboard, so you can work on that. All right, next up in machine learning, what is overfitting? Is it when a model performs exceptionally well on new unseen data? Is it when a model learns training data too well, including noise and outliners? Is it when a model is too simple to capture the underlying patterns in the data? Or is it when a model uses too many different types of algorithms? Everybody lock in their answers. Oh boy, 4 got it correct. Let's see who's winning now. Does Pietro, are you cheating?
No.
He's got an AI voice mode running, getting him all the answers.
Yeah, can you imagine? I've like 4.1 is doing the answer for me.
I love it. All right, Acoustic Biker's on the way up. Alex is holding on number 2. Trist is 5th. Bobby D, unfortunately, is still not. It's okay. There's still more time. All right, which tech company created the Llama family of large language models? A couple things to note about this question. Llama and Llama 2 came out of a company you might not first think of as for AI research. It's a social media giant. All right, we've got various options here: Apple, OpenAI, Google, Meta. Oh boy, everybody got this right. This one's too
Easy one. Too easy.
Too easy. Meta is the right answer. Oh, Pietro's on fire.
I don't even know what that means.
It means you're really good at the game. Alex is still number 2. Ooh, Bobby D is up and coming. All right, love it. We're going to keep going here. We have 2 more questions. What type of neural network architecture is particularly well suited for processing sequential data? A couple things to note about this. The ability for these networks to remember previous inputs in a sequence is crucial for understanding context. The answer choices are convolutional neural networks, CNNs, recurrent neural networks, RNNs, generative adversarial networks, or autoencoders. Whoa, we got all over the map, everybody. The right answer was RNNs, and Alex takes the lead.
Why don't I get the fire logo? I got a top streak.
You're not on fire yet. I mean, you're doing well, but you're not on fire. Bob, you're dropping. Trista's coming up, though, and Memo's coming up. So, all right, 5th question. Let's see who wins. Which sci-fi film famously features an AI named HAL 9000? Who says, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. Is it Blade Runner, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Matrix, or Short Circuit? And bonus points if you know where this picture comes from. All right. 6 of you got it correct. 2 of you did not. Let's see who wins. Tech Tab, episode 2, podium. Memo. Woo-hoo. I saw you out in the audience. Well done, Pietro. Number 1. Who is it? Alex Finn. Well done.
Let's go.
Like I said, we would cheer for you. So well done on that. Very impressed. Now, if you use your Limitless or AI in any way, then you're out. So there's that.
I did not cheat on that one. That was all the noggin. Apparently AI hasn't making me that stupid.
Yeah, see, if you had a Neuralink, then you'd for sure win, and Pietro wouldn't be number 1 all the time. So there you go. Well, listen, I had a blast, y'all, just hanging out with you, talking shop.
Same.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. Alex, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on X at AlexFinX. You can find me on YouTube, AlexFinOfficial, and you can find my content creation app, CreatorBuddy.io.
You can just be everywhere on the internet. Alex is there. Pietro, thanks so much for being here as well. Where can people find you?
On X, at Schirano. That's my main sort of social channel. And then be on the lookout for my new product, Magic Puff, which should come up either this week or the next. So
awesome. And thanks, Bob, so much for joining us as well. Where would you like people to find you online?
Oh, just X Bob Duffy.
Love it. All right. Thanks, Bob. You're a star. Everybody, we've got another show. We're going to do this every 2 weeks. So June 3rd, tune in at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. We would love for you to come out and hang with us. Thank you so much, everybody in the audience, for chiming in. Memo, Sparkfield for being so active. Team Red Studio. You all were just absolutely amazing. Appreciate you. And I want to thank my amazing production team behind the scenes, making this all work. There's a lot of work. So appreciate you all working so hard. We'll see you June 3rd for the next show. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.